This week's episode of Bewitched Banter contains the stuff of nightmares. You have been warned. Content is not suitable for all listeners.
Welcome! You're listening to Bewitched Banter.
I'm Krista, and I believe that people are inherently shitty.
And I'm Amy, and I tend to believe that people are naturally good.
But ironically, I'm a super believer in the supernatural and all things spiritual.
And I'm a total skeptic.
We're best friends, and in this podcast, we're seeking to explore and understand each other's perspectives with deep dives into the spooky, the spiritual, the magical, and the mystical.
And some straight up spoofs.
And everything in between. But today, we are covering sleep paralysis. And this week we are covering sleep paralysis, I should say. So, I'm, addition to dreams and tarot and astrology, another one of my faves. So thanks, Ames, for letting me go with this. We're kind of try to do a sleep series. So we did dreams, and now we're on sleep paralysis, and I believe we're going to do nightmares, right?
Or it'd be a nightmare.
Well, speaking of nightmares, you apparently used to get, not apparently, you told us that you got night terrors back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I, on the other hand, countless times that I don't even care to recount because they're that fucking terrifying, have experienced waking nightmares. And AKA sleep paralysis. So, yeah.
As an adult, right? Or a teenager?
Teen.
Okay.
So before I dive into the science and psych and the myths and lore behind it all, because there's all that good stuff wrapped up in this one, as you might imagine, something like sleep paralysis. I just wanted to share, like, my sister, Amy knows the story, so sorry, but for y'all listening, you don't. I have experienced this phenomenon, sleep paralysis, where essentially you can't move, you can hear, you can see, you're awake, and I used to get it chronically on the regular in about senior year in high school and a little bit in college, but it would always happen either in my bed, but always at my friend Jessica Tyrell's house at slumber parties, and we'd like go foot to foot, like in her little twin bed. And
are you saying your friend's the demon?
No, her house was death haunted, and I think there was a spirit in her house. But anyway, that's a whole other classification part of the story. But in the meantime, my sister was a freshman at UMich, and like we would literally call each other within like an hour and just say, hey, it just happened again, kind of thing, because that's how frequent it was happening, and simultaneously for my sister and I. So yes, scientifically there was stress and
yeah, anxiety. I was going to say anxiety, because it's a big life change, and your sister had just left.
Yeah, and 9/11 happened when she was a freshman away from home, and, you know, all that. It was,
9/11 happened when I was like in 8th grade.
Yeah, I was a freshman in high school.
Oh, yeah. So okay, I'm mixing my timeline
No, I also got it mixed up too, because I think I used to have it a little bit then too in freshman year of high school, because I was a freshman while she was a freshman, high school, college, simultaneously, because we're 4 years apart. But anyway, I do recall it happening a lot. You know, she was just about to graduate college, trying to get a job and shit. I was about to go to college. And
so both of you were experiencing like big life changes at the same time?
But it scared her so much, and she's the medical scientist, remember. She even called me with my blue nose, was like, what's up? What is this? It's so scary. And she ended up looking it up and found the medical diagnosis, parasomnia, which I will explain in a minute. But I just wanted to say, like, I never knew what it was for such a long time. And it even the symptoms are so effing real that it even scared my sister, who's a medical doctor, right? And still scares her to this day, even though she knows that there's a scientific explanation for it. But
I mean, yeah, anyone who's experienced it seems like it explains. I mean, everyone says it's horrible. Like, it's horrifying.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
Everything I've read, and I'm sure in your research too, like a horror film, and frankly, it's more terrifying than that, because you're in it, and it's awful. So anyway, highly don't recommend as well.
Yeah, I'm relieved I've never experienced it. I've had lots of night terrors, but not sleep paralysis, thank God.
Yeah, for a hot second, I was looking up to see if maybe you had a form of it, like in your night terrors, but since you could move and speak, that wouldn't classify as it. It would be more nightmares, night terrors. at least the way we categorize it here in the States. So, okay, I wanted to move on to the science behind it before I get into some lore. So I'm just going to go reverse order. Usually I like to start with the mythology, but I'm going science first because, frankly, since I have experienced it so much, I'm not going to lie to you, I was fucking scared to do the research. I really was, because I was home alone all week at my parents' house watching their dog in the house, and I was like, if I watch any videos on this shit right now, I'm going to have a nightmare, and I'm going to experience it again. And I haven't experienced it in probably 10 years. Thank God. So anyway.
It's kind of surprising you didn't go through it when you went through your divorce. With the amount of stress you had.
Yeah. I had pills. Thank God.
Yeah. Thank God for drugs.
Oh, thank fuck. And booze. But booze actually can be a causation. So
oh, really? Interesting.
Let me get to it.
So I'm assuming it has something to do with rapid eye movement.
Yeah, girl. So what is it? The medical term for sleep paralysis is parasomnia. It's a classified sleep disorder, which my sister again looked up for us, thank God, because we were both terrified. And episodes can cause intense anxiety. And again, remember, she was going to start her career after college, and I was going to start college is when the life phase we were going through this. But it can cause anxiety because what's happening in your brain at the time, it's impacting your amygdala. And your amygdala is the part of the brain that experiences fear. It's responsible for fear and anxiety responses. So that's what's going on up there. And according to sleepeducation.org, sleep deprivation may be a trigger or episode of sleep paralysis. And other related factors could include regular stress, as we just said, sleep related leg cramps, which I thought was kind of weird.
Oh, I hate Charlie horses more than anything. They're so god awful.
They are.
When you wake up and have one.
Yeah, usually it's dehydration.
Yeah, I know that, but I've experienced them when you wake up. Yeah, they're awful. Oh, so painful.
I agree. Anyway, according to this website again, sleepeducation.org, sleep paralysis tends to be only a mild problem, and there are no medical complications. Tell that to people who fucking experience sleep.org. Mild problem. And people who experienced chronically like I did. However, it is known to be a symptom of potentially narcolepsy, which is a sleep disorder, as we know, where you fall asleep unwillingly or at times where it's not supposed to be, or where you're not supposed to be asleep, quote unquote. And in its simplest form, sleep paralysis is the line between sleep and wakefulness. It's when your brain is active and ready to go, but your body is not.
Okay. Makes sense.
So there are two types. There is hypnagogic, and pardon the pronunciation, hypnagogic and hypnophomic.
Okay.
During each of these, hallucinations are visual, tactile, auditory, and also can include other sensory events or perceptions. They're usually brief, maybe 20 seconds up to 20 minutes. Some
20 minutes
recording said,
God,
or report like said. And I don't know if mine were actually 20 minutes because I was so terrified that it felt that long or not.
That's what I was gonna say. Even if it probably only lasts 10 seconds, it probably seems so surreal and terrifying that, because even when like you've been scared by something like that, like a tragic, scary moment can feel so much longer than it actually is. Like, your perception of time can change so drastically.
Absolutely. And, oh my God, it ain't fun. So, anyhow, again, you can still experience all these sensory events, but paralysis is a part of it. And this is the hypnagogic are on the onset of sleep. So, when you're falling asleep. And hypnomorphic. Nope.
Some big scientific word.
Yeah, hypnomoponic. Hypnoponic.
That reminds me.
Sorry about pronunciation.
It's okay. I was like, I have to look up how to pronounce some things before I tell my story for Thursday.
So hypnagogic is when you're falling asleep, you're getting into REM, and hypnopomic are ones when you're waking up. So those are the ones I was experienced.
Okay.
I never ever experienced it that I'm aware of going to sleep. Always upon waking.
Okay.
Is when my experience. So if you think of the brain like power switches, your conscious mind, again, is fully awake and aware. You can open your eyes and you can move them around your head, but your body is effectively, the power switch is off. And you can't move, you can't turn your head in any way. You're just fucking stuck. In mystical reports, I'll get to those in a minute, but they say it feels like pressure.
Like a demon pressing on you.
Demon pressing,
That's
a
what
witch.
I saw quite a bit.
There's lots of theories I'll get into in the lore here in a moment, but regardless, you're effectively paralyzed.
Sounds god-awful.
Yet conscious. Again, you can breathe, think, but I got PTSD watching these videos, dude. This says you, quote unquote, may not be able to speak. Guess what? I was never fucking able to speak or call out for help because, the first time it ever happened, you're like, what the fuck's happening? And all you want to do is be like, scream. And I'll never forget.
I've had dreams like that, actually, where I wanted to yell for help, but I couldn't.
But you were sleeping, though?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, you are fully fucking awake and conscious, eyes open, and you cannot move your mouth or body. And I was never able to call for help until I broke out of it. Mm-hmm. And it literally took your entire being and might to, it felt like running a marathon or like lifting Olympic style weights just to fucking open your eyes or move. It's awful. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, I'm still harkening back on that. And again, did not want to do my research because I was like, I'm going to.
Hey, you chose this subject.
I did because I wanted to know what the fuck is up. Because I never believed my sister when she tried to explain it scientifically. I definitely obviously left more to obviously the believer side of me was like, no, there's some bad shit going down. Because you do feel, that's the other thing, these hallucinations, reports and other people who have experienced it also feel either a negative presence. The culture is obviously associated with demons or malevolent figures. In my personal experience, I thought it was more ghostly or spirit-y. Mm-hmm. And one time I remember having an outer body experience and hearing a voice. You're going to laugh at me, but I don't give a fuck. And it was I was floating over my body and I heard a really terrifying voice that says, you don't belong here. What are you doing here? And and then I was immediately sucked back into my body and it was awful. That was fucking terrifying. So anyway, fast facts. This is from an academic paper. So they're a little bit medically, but I wanted to just share some. So the term sleep paralysis was coined by S.A. Kinner Wilson in 1928. Sleep paralysis is considered a disease when it's recurrent, disturbing, according to the classification of sleep disorder and American Academy of Sleep Medicine. Sleep paralysis episodes are generally accompanied by, again, intense anxiety, the inability to perform any movement, or voluntary movements rather, even to scream or to cry out for help. I can't even because I'm reminiscing on how fucking awful it is. In some cases, which I think you're going to cover, fear of impending death.
How do you know what I'm covering?
Because you told me.
What did I tell you?
The title.
What, Among Men? Mm-hmm. You know what that is?
I looked it up.
Why'd you look it up?
I didn't look up the story. I don't know what it means. All I just know is it's part. It came up in my research too.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry. I don't know the fucking actual story. I don't know the actual story. And I did not read it.
I was lame.
But I also checked to make sure it didn't overcross with what I'm doing, and it doesn't. So, but I didn't read it. I just did a good old college control F to make sure.
I was like, mine? I can't wait to get to my story.
I know. You were excited about it all week. Sorry. Okay, so
all week. I didn't know it existed until yesterday.
Oh, sure. I'm foreseeing
all
the future.
All week. I was like, I didn't know it was a thing until yesterday.
I tend to exaggerate, if you guys.
Yeah, I've never noticed. I'm calling you out for it.
Tend to be a little on the dramatic flair of
all week. You just would not shut up about it. And I had
literally just slacked me at 4 p.m. yesterday.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know it was a thing till yesterday.
Oh my god. Okay, we have just a few more facts. The prevalence of sleep paralysis among the general population, according to this study, ranges from 5 to 62%. Again, a general population. That was a study in 1993. There was, from this study, there was no significant intergender difference. So kind of evenly split, between male female, according to that 1993 study. And in a systematic review, Sharpless and Berber from 2011 observed that the prevalence rate of sleep paralysis was having at least one episode in their lifetime. For the general population, according to the 2011 study, kind of reduced quite a bit from 20% in 1993, from 62% in 1993 to 7.6% for the general population.
Wow. Okay. Because I read, when I was doing my research, it said like 30% on average experience it.
Yeah, I think it's varies, and there's no...
I mean, how do they really know?
Exactly. Right.
That's just like surveys.
Exactly. So in this survey from 2011, students were also surveyed. In their samples, that was 28.3%, so younger, thinking probably teens to young adult.
Well, you're also going through all those crazy hormonal changes.
Oh, yeah, fucking hormones. We both had bad ones this week. Jesus Christ. Or mine was last week. Anyway, and then psychiatric patients, 31%, which ties into what I'm about to say. So, surmised causes of sleep paralysis include, but are not limited to, consult your doctor before testing sleep paralysis.
Wait, what is it?
I was just trying to make it like an ad for medicine, but
I was like, what?
No, so they don't really know for sure, right? Again, this is still all in hot debate amongst the science community, but hot topics of causation is eating heavy or fatty foods before bed, like right before bed.
All the good things in life?
So like, eating fucking McDonald's right before going to sleep while drunk. I don't know.
Or Taco Bell?
Or Taco Bell. Drinking excessively. Ever heard of it?
But that you would think you wouldn't remember, less people would remember the sleep paralysis from the drinking.
Yeah, you would think, but this is just, again, a surmised causation.
Yeah.
Patients with PTSD or other underlying mental health conditions with like anxiety, depression, or bipolar disorder.
Yeah, when I was trying to find my story, it kept showing, like, time and time again, I kept seeing articles about veterans having high rates of sleep paralysis. That'd and like how they're trying to help them combat that. I don't know. But that makes sense. They've been through a traumatic event in their lives.
Yes, which got me thinking of like, did my sister and I experience trauma? I don't know. I was getting real deep in my field about it because we were experiencing it at the same fucking time. It doesn't have to be
said trauma. You guys were probably just stressed about the future.
Maybe. Or what if like,
she was stressed about graduating from college. You were stressed about graduating from high school.
Maybe. I hope so. So that's the last bullet is times of high anxiety and stress. And then also
stress does weird things to your body.
Fucking A, let me tell you.
Like unexplainable weird things.
So scary. It's legit. I'm still scared. Like I just thinking about the experience alone is nightmarish still. And so those are some of the causes. Like I said, again, not necessarily they don't know for sure, but those are the speculative causes in the scientific community. So paralyzation, paralysis. Is paralyzation a word? Isn't it correct to me?
I have no idea.
Well, paralysis.
Yeah. I would think it's paralysis, but
and I'm the writer.
I've never heard of that before.
I should know. Anyhow. To explain the paralysis, why are we paralyzed in this state? So real quick, I want to revisit the sleep stages that I covered in dreams. Okay. If you remember, there are 5. The last one...
I didn't remember, but okay.
Yeah, there are 5. Going from light sleep to kind of just winding down. Your heart rate starts to slow to REM.
Okay.
REM is stage 5, and that is where we dream. Also.
Okay.
REM is where we also experience, or rapid eye movement is what it stands for. REM, REM. I wonder if the band named themselves after that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Cool. I just thought of...
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going on tangents today. Anyhow, REM is where we also experience sleep paralysis. If you recall back to dreams, there's a couple theories on why we dream. 2 of them involve simulation. Do you remember that?
Molly's dreaming very loudly right now.
Or she's in REM.
Or she's doing her old lady groan. Sorry, what was the question?
No, it's okay. So in addition to the sleep stages that I covered, I also covered the reasons why we dream, and 2 of the theories included simulations. The simulation theory of like you think of your brain like almost a video game to predict imminent threats and to how you navigate them in waking life.
Oh, okay.
So that was simulation theory, and then in modern times there's the social simulation theory. So back in the day, threats were physical or violent, animals, usually nature, things like that. Whereas in modern times, we have often anxiety dreams about social situations like an interview per se.
Yeah, so Corey and I, this is really off topic, but, well, not off topic, but we were talking about yesterday how anxiety is so different to what it was like so like modern times we're worried about stupid things like, oh, did I embarrass myself in front of my like coworkers, or I'm nervous about the speech, where you used to like worry about, am I going to have food for the next day or 2 to survive, to live?
Or am I going to get trampled by a buffalo?
Yeah, and it's like the things we worry about today, when you put them in perspective, they still like impact you so gratefully, but how trivial and stupid the things are we worry about today. It's just wild. Like an interesting idea. Like you literally had to worry, like, am I going to live
or
in a
die?
Week? Yeah. And now it's like, oh, I said this one thing in front of my coworkers. I'm so embarrassed.
And we think we're so advanced, right? It's so funny.
But it's like the fight or flight. It's like in our bodies and you can't get rid of it.
Yeah, you can't.
Unfortunately.
No, that's not off top at all. That's actually right on. So while we're dreaming in REM, our brain shuts off, again, think of the light switches. It shuts down our motor functions so we don't sleepwalk, essentially, and so we don't hurt ourselves.
That makes sense.
And so the process of sleep paralysis.
Oh, I see the 2 and 2
you see
going
it coming together. Yep. So when you're dreaming, and again, sleep paralysis, you wake up like I did, or you're going to sleep and you're experiencing the brain shut off to your motor functions so you can get ready to dream and not move around. Unfortunately, sleepwalkers do, but as we've covered. But in sleep paralysis, you wake up too early, or you are like coming into it too early. I don't really understand the falling asleep portion. Again, I never experienced that. I only understand the waking one because I experienced that. But I guess as you're falling asleep, you go to it too quickly, I think is how they explained it.
Okay.
Like you go through the stage 5 too quick.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense. So you're not fully asleep.
And this paralysis, by the way, in your REM sleep is called Atonia. And according to, again, sleepeducation.org, you may experience the sleep atonia if it lingers when you wake up, or it may occur, when you occur to wakefulness too quickly. So that's the brain function while we're in sleep paralysis. But why, again, is it so goddamn scary? Aside from just being straight up paralyzed.
Yeah, that's not scary at all.
So Sarah G. Miller published an article on livescience.com called The Demon on Your Chest and Other Terrifying Tales of Sleep Paralysis. Why do I sound like Batman all of a sudden? I don't know what happened there. That man took over me. My demon.
I wasn't impressed with the new Batman, by the way.
Oh, when did you guys see it?
Maybe 2 weekends ago. I thought it was okay. Honestly, at the end, I was just waiting for it to be over.
It was very long.
It was dragged on forever.
I just didn't like Edward Pattinson in the. I didn't like Edward. No, I mean Robert Pattinson. I used to fucking.
Isn't it Edward Pattinson? No, it's
Edward is his character in Twilight. Robert Pattinson.
I thought he was fine. I just thought it was. I thought it was overhyped. And so I think when you go into a movie with really high expectations, it's hard to deliver.
Yeah.
And then I found myself, I was like, is it over yet? I just got bored. I was like, can we wrap this up?
Right.
It was like 3 hours, right? See, I need to go to bed for a night and then finish the other half another day.
Yeah, it was long. I remember having to pee in the middle, but I didn't want to get up, but I did anyway, it was so long. All right, so this is a livescience.com article, The Demon on Your Chest and Other Terrifying Tales of Sleep Paralysis by Sarah G. Miller, published in 2016. She interviewed a really smart gentleman named, again, Brian A. Sharpless. He did a lot of studies, and he actually was the author of the quoted earlier, one of his pieces, and he studied sleep paralysis on a scientific level. He said in her article, when someone experiences sleep paralysis, and this, again, relates to why it's so fucking scary. So when someone experiences sleep paralysis, these two things occur while a person is conscious, with his or her eyes open, Sharpless said. This means that the dreams are technically hallucinations, and they're just as vivid as anything you'd see when you're awake, he said. In addition, the dreams can be multi-sensational, meaning the person may not only see things, but hear, and in some cases feel them too, he said.
Okay.
So right on to everything I've experienced. I have felt the pressure. I have heard everything going on around me. I could see what was right in front of me, but you literally couldn't move either way. You couldn't even sit up to know, but I have felt the pressure on my chest. I've heard scary ass voices. Think, fuck, I've never seen an old hag. But I sensed a very ominous, dark presence. Mm-hmm. And that was my experience.
I mean, that's common from most of the experiences I read. Most people felt like there was someone there.
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't explain what was there, but they felt a presence.
Yep.
And not a happy-go-lucky one.
Exactly. It certainly wasn't for me. And to that point, cultural explanations have used everything from, because of the waking up paralyzed, ranging from everything from alien abductions to demons, again, just negative entities either sitting on your chest or just staring at you, or on your feet, or pulling your feet. Or one gentleman in a video I watched described being like, had invisible rope around him.
Okay.
So,
feeling constrained?
Yeah. And it actually kind of relates more to my sensation. I never felt anything necessarily on my chest, but just like my whole body was weighted. Like a big ass weighted concrete blanket, if you will. That's how I felt. Okay. So, back to the lore. There's a hell of a lot of lore, as
I know.
you know. And the three main common archetypes are the devil, as I mentioned now, ghosts, which I know you're going to get it too. I don't know the story. I just know there's ghosts involved. The old hag. And again, as I said, aliens. Okay. So people with alien abductions, stories and experiences, remember, the experiences are real to them. Even if it wasn't necessarily an actual abduction by alien beings, like, this shit feels so real. That's how real these hallucinations are. And in this video that I watched, the scientists were like, who studied it, were like, everyone who has an alien abduction experience story, it's exactly what those describing sleep paralysis say. So they're trying to like make sense of.
Wait, I'm not following.
So anyone who reports like an alien abduction, the experiences they feel, and it like the sensations are match aligned exactly to those who experience sleep paralysis. Oh,
okay. So they're most likely experiencing sleep paralysis, not alien abductions.
Right. Yeah. Sorry,
okay.
I didn't explain that very well. But that's the general consensus for a plausible explanation of anyone who's experienced an alien abduction.
Okay.
But
not that they're just not batshit crazy.
I mean, I'm sure that's in there too. Because remember, underlying medical.
I mean, if my neighbor told me they experienced an alien abduction, and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to shut my door now.
But like, also,
that's what I was talking about.
Why is always got to be a probe? Like, in all the, there's a comedian who has a whole sketch on this, but like,
oh, you're trying to steal their
I'm not gonna say
material.
I don't even know who it is, so I couldn't even credit them. But like, I remember watching it, and like, they always got to be like probing the butt or the belly button or like pregnant.
But
like,
ghosts, same thing. We can have the same conversation. Everyone's ghost story is very similar. Like, why isn't there ever a friendly ghost? That's why I keep asking.
Casper.
Yeah, but everyone's ghost story is always the same. And why isn't there ever like modern ghosts? Like, why do they always have to be?
Aren't they?
I don't think so. I feel like a lot of
no, bitch. That's
I feel like we can say the same thing for ghost stories. They're all the same.
Oh my god, you're so funny. Well, so here's an example of the hypnagogic hallucination.
Sounds like a fancy drug.
It does.
Designer drug.
It kind of TM. We come in for the drug market. So this is a 1664 piece by physician Isbrand van Diem. You're good at German. Fuck. Isbrand van Diembervuk.
Okay.
Sure. And he's Dutch. Sorry, not German. I apologize. But same accent, right? Question mark?
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's so ignorant of me. I don't know my own heritage. But anyhow, he wrote and studied, again, a collection of case histories of sleep paralysis. This is from 1609 to 1674 that he studied it, which is quite a long time to be alive during those days. Mm-hmm. But he published a collection of stories of cases, and this lends towards the devil lore or the demon lore.
Okay.
Van Diemberg was responsible largely for painting the pervasive perception of demons in like Western vibe culture it existed well before that in obviously Asian countries and in Europe, where they believed in devils and old hags, but he, in his studies, really believed it was the devil and described it as such. So, other cultures across the world obviously experienced a strange sensation, and they invoke very vivid descriptions. In Japan, it's called the kanashahibiri. I'm sorry. I haven't been to Japan in 2 years, so that's terrible.
Yeah, because when you were there for the week, you were supposed to pick up every word.
Every word. Kanashibari. Ah, got it. Kanashibari. The term is rooted in Buddhism, and long ago it was believed that Buddhist monks could use magic, hey magic episode, to paralyze.
Okay.
So that was the Japanese version. Newfoundland sleep paralysis has been called, again, on the attack of the old hag. I have a story kind of about that. And it's in a lot of cultures, and aside from Newfoundland, it's essentially an old witch that sits on your chest and is an incubus and may or may not molest you. A lot of people have claimed molestation.
Oh, that's really awful in itself.
Yep. And imagine being paralyzed. China is got something they call ghost oppression, which I'm sure you'll get into. And then Mexico, there's a new study.
I thought you looked my story up.
I swear I didn't. All I know is that it doesn't.
When she knows all the facts, guys, you'll know.
Hey, I don't. I promise. Ooh, my tootsies. And in Mexico, a new study reports that people say sleep paralysis feels like a dead body on top of them. That's kind of how I felt, actually. In Brazil, they have the legend of the pisadeira. And that's like an incubus, which is the legend of a demon that molests people. In Spain, it is the pensatana, a black animal, often a dog or cat, that invades people's homes and sits on their chest while they are asleep, making it difficult to breathe. And this is in the Catalonia region. And again, almost every culture around the world has some experience with this, explanation for it, or lore to explain this. And those were just almost all continents. I didn't cover Africa, but
what about Australia?
I didn't cover them either in this lore, but I bet you they have one.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure it's probably like old hag for the people that were coming from England, right down. Anyway, I asked a friend of mine if there anything in Haitian culture, and he's like, well, what about zombies? And I was like, holy shit, that could be kind of aligned. Granted, they use, as we covered, and you covered so beautifully, the toxin to paralyze people, to become, you know what I mean, to be in the paralyzed state. And they use the pufferfish, another texadoxin.
Yeah,
I think that was a texturedoxin. So,
I don't think that's it, but you're close.
And close enough. One of those things.
Close enough for government.
And so they use that to paralyze their victims, rendering them quote unquote zombies. Whereas in sleep, it's a more natural phenomenon where, again, it's through REM and your brain not shutting off. But I guess because I was like, hey, like what does Haiti have any like sleep paralysis lore? And he's like, well, yeah, what about zombies? I was like, holy shit.
That makes perfect sense.
That makes perfect effing sense. And they're totally aligned. So anyhow, sleep paralysis, highly don't recommend. It is a very scary phenomenon. And I'm just so glad to know that it is not a demon, because before my sister looked it up, I swear to God, you guys, I thought I was possessed, and it was terrifying. And
well, I feel like you're not alone, because from the little I did, it seems like most people feel that way. Like a lot of people, even if they don't think it's a demon, there's some kind of dark spirit in the room. That's what I just kept hearing. Like because I was trying to find a story to do, and honestly, you have to read some stuff, and that's again and again. I feel like is it comforting? You're not alone.
Actually, yes, and it's comforting, to be honest, that you're backing me up on this, because I'm, like, shocked. I'm like, oh my God, my skeptic friend thinks I'm not a psycho for experiencing this.
I don't think, I think that, why would I think you're a psycho? Because sleep does weird things to you. I mean, I've had crazy night terrors.
That's true.
And the crazy dreams I've had, I don't really think that's a reflection of who I am.
I don't know. I know you think a lot of other things I genuinely believe in are wild, but I appreciate you having my back on this one. So that's a wrap on sleep paralysis. Do not eat fatty foods. Do not go
Don't tell me that.
Before sleep. Don't have
fun. That's what she's telling you.
So actually some things that really help. This is why, to answer your question earlier, this is probably why I didn't get it during the divorce, because they recommend it as like a treatment to do regular sleep routines, including meditations.
Oh.
And I still meditate daily, but during the divorce, I would meditate every effing day, whether before bed or after bed, waking up. And I think that probably helped me not to experience it.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's stress related. I know I'm not a doctor, but...
No, Dr. Holt, remember?
Yeah.
We've ordained you.
I just think stress
Holt
does some crazy things to the body that doctors can never explain. And I can imagine a lot of it has to do with stress.
100%. And again, during my time of life, it was immense.
I mean, that echoes my story I'm going to cover.
Oh, well, I'm excited to hear yours. So with that, peace be witches.
Peace.
Sleep tight.
Yes. Don't let the bugs bite.
Don't let the demons
bite.
Stop ya.
Okay. We're trying. We're reaching too far.
Okay, peace.
Thanks for listening. Check us out on Instagram or bewitchedbanter.com. Suggestions for the show? Emails at bewitchedbanter@gmail.com. Credits, Music Phantom Fun by Jonathan Boyle from premiumbeat.com. Podcast, edited and produced by Krista Hinz and Amy Holt. As always, if you enjoyed, please rate, review, and subscribe.